So I can't expect her to, sugarcoat things when she hasn't grown in the sugar-coated environment.
Yes.
So you got to take it the way you give it sometimes.
I have to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one with the headphone.
Corey told me I don't use it.
So
just know if you don't have the headphones, if you have a device that you're trying to watch it on, you need to cut the volume all the way down, etc.
Okay.
So because it'll be an echo.
Okay, I don't have anything else on.
Okay, good.
So I have to go right.
You can't get a little soundtrack or something.
Right. Some theme music. Like,
don't do that.
Heroes in here.
We're about to get started. Tip, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Here we go. Good evening out there in podcast land. This is Corey with Survivin, the podcast. This is season 2. This is surviving all things Corona. But when you talk about survival is more than just this pandemic. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's relationship, it's everything. And so with that, this episode, we don't get to talk too much in regards to our Black women. So before we get started in Black Girls Rock, I'd like everybody to just introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shalay. I am an educator. And that's pretty much it. I'm Black.
hi, everyone. I'm Dina, and I am a sales director in corporate America. And I'm also a wife. I'm a mom of 3 and stay really busy. That's what I am.
My name is Janelle. I am a mother of a 16-year-old phenomenal child. I worked in the military. I've been in the military for 21 years. I am somewhat of an entrepreneur and somewhat of a writer, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany. I am a political science professor, and I have my own radio show, Jesus and Justice, with Dr. Tiff, and a social justice activist, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad for you guys to be here and really excited for you guys. So the episode we surround today is about strong Black women. And what we don't do enough of as a community is we don't rally around our African-American women, which endure a lot. There's a lot of stereotypes about the Black woman. There's a lot, when they are independent, they have attitude. If they're in leadership, they're considered a bitch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But before we get into that, we'll talk about what it is in this election. We do have an election moment that we always talk about. And this is, before we go any further, we want to talk about that. And we'll do it ourselves. So as you guys know, we did a strong, and I'd like to commend the entire African-American community, the minority community, just America in general. This has been one of the largest turnouts in modern history for an election. And unfortunately, we are still waiting on the results from that election. But again, the African-American woman, she did carry the Democratic Party into that threshold of pulling out the votes. So what do you guys think about that?
I am super proud to be an African-American woman in 2020 with Kamala representing for us. I'm super proud of her. I feel like for there to be a Black woman on the ballot, for there to be a Black woman to be running for vice presidency, that is huge. that is everything that, I know that we've been waiting for, that we fought for, we shed blood and tears for. I am super proud. So I will wear pink. I will wear pearls. I'll wear chucks, whatever, to support her. So I'm riding with her, because I feel like for her to come this far and to get that type of support from our community is huge.
Absolutely. I'm with her, but I might not wear pink and pearls, but I'm with her. But I'm riding with her. But I'll say that, like Corey was saying, just the African American vote, it just shows that our votes matter. Because when you look at the votes that are outstanding, the votes that the counties that are determining this election, it's really in the African American counties in most of the states, and the majority where the majority are African Americans. So our votes matter, and we're the determining factor in this. So like, I just couldn't be more proud to be Black, to be African American, to be represented, like you said, in the with this election, and how we've come out and how we've really made our voice heard.
Right.
And we got Lawrence join us. Lawrence is with the Biden-Harris campaign. I'm glad he could join us for this election moment. Just wanted to shout him out and give him an opportunity to just tell us what this means to us and where we are right now. Thank you, Lawrence.
Hey, everybody. So grateful to be a part of this broadcast. My name is Lawrence Wilson. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. Don't mind the music. Kind of, going through a lot of different things right now as we are waiting the final tallies from the election. But pretty much, where we stand right now, Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. We are currently waiting on Nevada, which has six electoral votes. We are waiting on Georgia, which possibly will be determined tonight or tomorrow that we will be taking that state, which will be a pickup for us. Georgia has not voted for a Democratic president since Jimmy Carter in the 1970s. We are on track to take Arizona. Arizona has not voted for a Democratic president probably in like the last 30 years. So essentially, that's how this race will be won. We ran up the score at multiple different locations, and we try to, make a campaign that's inclusive of everybody, that is bringing everybody to the table. Granted, we didn't expect Donald Trump would be able to run up the score as much as he did. We thought people would be, over him, but we did go into those little pockets. And basically, when you look at the number of electoral college votes, Donald Trump cannot win. Even if he wins Pennsylvania, which he's on track to losing as well, from our, data, he still can't win. Even if he was to win North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, the only thing the vice president needs is Arizona and Nevada. We know Nevada's going to go for us. We know Arizona's going for us. Once you hit 270 electoral votes, it's over. So no matter how you look at it, once you hit 270, I think Pennsylvania has 20 electoral college votes. Georgia has 16. North Carolina maybe like 11, something like that. But even then, he would still not get. He would be at like 68. So ultimately, like, the moral of everything is our vote really does count, and we can attribute the success that has happened in Wisconsin, the success that's happened in Michigan, to African American people. We encourage so many people to run up the score, to early vote, to absentee vote, because that is why we're seeing the delays, but that's why we're seeing numbers increase, because we knew that, in a pandemic and the crazy times that we are, if we were able to run up the score, we would be good. So your vote really does count. It really does matter. Don't ever let nobody tell you, because, we're in a situation now where, the president has, I just watched him, do a briefing. He said that the votes are all fraud. The Democrats are winning Georgia because it's Democrats, but your boy is the governor. Your other boy is the Secretary of State in the Republican state. So how can your boys, who you have that have supported you in depth, how can you say that you're going to, that the Democrats are taking over? It's just not true.
Right.
The president is in a place where he's in a place of desperation. He's in a place that he knows he's losing. He sees the same internal data that we see, and he's losing. And instead of saying, this ain't gonna go right, he's just making all these false lies and accusations. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Right.
And we're in a situation now, and I've been getting messages nonstop since Tuesday that well, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm all of this, and I just like, well, why are you so patient and excited? I'm like, because we have the internal numbers, we know where we are, and it's all when you look at an election, it's really all about the electoral college. Yes, in the primaries you play in all states, but once you get to the general election, literally your Michigans, Wisconsins, Pennsylvanias, Floridas, Ohio's, Iowa's. We put Arizona in play. We put Georgia in play. And that's just how it is. I went to Atlanta on Monday for President Obama. We sent President Obama to Georgia because we knew we could flip that state. So, it's a beautiful thing to see. I mean, that's really all I can.
Well, we thank you, Lawrence, man. Appreciate that update and all the hard work you guys are doing out there on the ground, front runners, and making sure that our vote is heard. And we'll be watching it just like everybody else. And y'all be safe out there too as well, because with the results coming out, the man that's in office is not really happy. So we'll be praying for you guys. But thank you, Lawrence.
I appreciate you guys. Hang in there.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So yes, okay. So there you have it. That was our election moment, and thank you everybody who worked hard getting people to the polls, especially in Texas. We almost went blue, but anyway. So we're here, the strong Black woman. Let's talk about it, ladies. So
let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
The essence of a Black woman. What does being a Black woman mean to you guys in your own words?
I think for me, it means that I am the giver of life. I am a being that can do everything. I'm multifaceted. I experience every emotion. And I live and breathe to make this world live and breathe.
I like that.
Okay.
Ditto.
Else?
I was just going to say that just being a Black girl in general, from the way our hair is made, like we all have different textures of hair. We're all different shapes, sizes. And when the sun hit that melanin just right, you know what I'm saying? It's just something about us. We got sass, class, we can get with you. We got a little ratchet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just something about us that you can't find anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about us. And when Black women get together, it's like the four of us, I know Janelle, but the four of us didn't really know each other, but just getting on here and having a conversation, it's like we can all find something to connect. It's like, hey girl, what you used to lay your edges down? You know what I'm saying? Like, we can have that type of conversation. But if someone who is of the non-melanated population, they try to chime in, all of us will be giving the side eye, because that's just who we are. Yes, we do have attitude, but what woman doesn't have attitude, right? That's a part of your personality. That's a part of who you are. When I think about where I come from, my ancestors, my family, my heritage, my grandmother, my mama, my grandmother, and just the things that they dealt with and were capable of surviving, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I'll give you an example. I learned how to cook from my grandmother. She, if y'all know about Corningware, the blue and white with the little flowers. Okay. I have her Corningware. And so I just can remember her teaching me, girl, don't you put that cast iron skillet in the sink. Listen, this is how you make this. And those are things that are passed down in generation, just a part of who we are. You know what I'm saying? We're survivors. No matter how much the world beats us down, we're survivors. We come out thriving. And I think that's a trait that some just being Black, just embodying that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's in you.
Yep.
Great.
I think we're the definition of diversity. And what I mean by that, like when we got on here, we were like, okay, when we were talking, like, okay, what you want us to be? You want us to be because we can be a lot of things. So what you want us to be?
Right.
And so we can do those things, and we can turn it on, we can turn it off, and we can be the best of all of that. So, I feel like everything y'all said is so true. And I just think that we're the definition of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I think being a Black woman to me is all of what my sisters have said. And I want to add another word, and that is unstoppable. When they didn't give us a seat at the table, we brought our own, and we brought our own folding chair, or we can bring
Yeah.
our own table and a stack of chairs as well. And I think when I think about this election with Kamala, it takes me back to the Shirley Chisholm of the world, the first African American woman to run for president. And the beautiful thing about Shirley Chisholm is that she said that I am unbought and I am unbossed. And she knew that she was not going to win the presidency, but she said, I'm running because nobody can tell me that I can't run.
Yeah.
And so, and for her to be the first African American to be in Congress, to now we see a person who potentially could be the first African American vice president. So it shows that African American women are more than just ratchet, more than just video vixen, more than just baby mama drama, more than just being loudmouth, more than just all of what the media tries to portray of the negativity. African American women are not on welfare, and the numbers that they project out there of saying that Black women have the highest number of welfare is a lie. It's actually white women. And so and when you think about the Black woman, someone said that we are diverse. That is very true. Diverse, unstoppable, unique. We're rare, because when you think about the astronauts, who let the first astronaut go on to the moon? It was Black women. Who has the highest number of being in the church? It's the Black woman. Who has the highest amount of the turnout rate? It is the Black woman. Who is the financier? Who can be the mama and the daddy, hold the household down? That is the Black woman. So I think that, we are all of that and then some.
Right.
I like that. And with Kamala being up for election it looks to be the first female vice president. There was a lot of issue with things that she did in her past. And one of the things that brought up a discussion of the Black woman, we really held her foot to the fire. Especially with things she had to do when she was not the curator of the policies, of the agendas. She just did her job as a DA, as an attorney general. But people are marrying her to those results versus someone like a Donald Trump, who's blatantly wrong people, continues to make mistakes, but we give him a pass. And that's the path we take. As a woman, you guys have to really excel, really have to make sure all your T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, the handwriting is in a straight line, or there will be consequences. And so, to me, I think that this creates a movement to celebrate the Black woman. And do you think this movement of my Blackness, especially from a feminine standpoint, do you think it's just a movement or moment? Or do you think it's here to stay?
It's a lifestyle. It's here to stay. Yeah. We have always done amazing things with our families, our children, and education. Now you're getting a chance to see what happens when we have a seat at the table, regardless of how we got there, whether we had to bring our own chair and table or someone invited us into the space. Status quo for us. We have always been this phenomenal. I had a grandmother who raised kids and had a career. And she, when she retired, she had income, she had money, she had things saved. She put things aside for her children. This stuff all the time. We simply don't get credit for it. It is very easy to talk about her record as a district attorney or as attorney general from my home state of California. It's very easy for me to talk about it. But when we talk about someone else, the current commander in chief, we don't want to hold his feet to the fire, because then we have to address some of the things that are going on in our space. And a lot of people don't want to do that. I was in a Facebook chat this morning, and the post was about 55% of white women who voted for Donald Trump this time, whereas in 2016, it was about 50%. I said, well, they're doubling down. I said, do you think the reason why they are doubling down is because They realize if Kamala and Joe get in office and he's of age and he expires in office, guess who becomes the president? Is that why they're voting the way that they are? Because they have not taken advantage of the opportunities that they have taken from other people to put themselves in the right place. And when I say it started a shitstorm, it was a whole, I had to just, hey, I didn't mean to piss all y'all off this morning. Have a good day. But I said what I said because I meant that. And we are just unique. We have done these things before. Shirley Chisholm is one of the pioneers. You can't have a conversation about politics about women running for office without discussing her. But she is one of many. And there are some times, like Stacey Abrams, for example, she's still doing a phenomenal job.
Yes.
She kept her head high, she was gracious, and she's still trying to help her state. There's so many like us, and it's just a lifestyle. It's just here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The unfortunate piece is that is true. That there are a lot of people that don't look like us that have an issue with the fact that if Joe Biden cannot fulfill his duties as the president, then this African American woman will. But unfortunately, we have to talk about what the reality is. There are a lot of Black men that have an issue with a Black woman in power. And so you have seen President Trump numbers rise with African American men more this time than it was the last time. And when you talk to some African American men, again, let me go on record by saying it is not all African American men, but there is a growing number that have an issue with the fact that a Black woman can be in politics. I mean, we don't even have to think about politics. Think about, like, at the church, there are still people who have an issue with women being in ministry, with women being the pastor, being evangelist, and all of that. And so when you look at these men that have an issue, these are very insecure men who want to feel superior and who cannot handle a smart woman like a Dina or Shalay or Janelle. They can't handle people like that. And so what do they need is that they need someone that they feel that is beneath them. And so it is time for African American women to get to the back. And let me say this, and I'm gonna shut my mouth. When they had the women's suffrage movement, you always hear people talk about Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, these two white women that started the women's suffrage movement, right? But then you're right. They did invite other African American women to the table. You know, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta. The 22 founders went to the women's suffrage movement. But you know what Susan B. Anthony and them told those women? They said, you know what? We're going to let y'all Negro girls come, but you got to go to the back. And see, and that's how it's been for so long. And I think Black women, we're getting tired of that. Stop trying to act like you're giving us a seat at the table, but you tell us to shut our mouth and go to the back. No, we're not going to the back anymore. We're going to push through like an Ida B. Wells and say, you're not going to shut me down. You're not going to tell me I can come here, but I have to go to the back. And so now we're coming to the front. And so I will say to my African American brothers, stop trying to think that a Black woman is trying to compete with you. It's not about competition. It's about complimenting each other. Get some self-esteem and stop thinking that because of a woman, we should not have to apologize for our education. We should not have to apologize about how much money we make. If we're in a relationship, if I'm blessed, you blessed. If you blessed, we all blessed. So get some self-esteem. Stop being insecure. Nobody is fighting against you. We're trying to work with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen, Sarah. Yep.
Sarah.
Oh yeah. But you know, that brings on those stereotypes. You know, as we were talking in the beginning, they would say like, if you have an opinion as a woman, she has an attitude. If you're a woman in power, she's a bitch. But it only pertains to the Black woman. So, you know, we want to talk about that. Like, break some of those down. So
I want to address that. And I can say for me personally, being in the workplace, like I said earlier, I'm in education. And so I have risen from the bottom to the top fairly quickly in my young age. I was supervising people that were double my age, you know, have been in the profession longer than I have. You know, it's kind of on that, girl, I got kids older than you. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be mindful of my professionalism. Number one, I'm a woman. Number two, especially with white men, Even our brothers sometimes, they trip a little bit too. But being in a supervisory role, and supervising, even those that may have been in my age group, just the stigmas that come with that, right? Because I'm not, when it's work, I'm at work. It's professional time.
Mhm.
Because I don't ever want you to get it twisted that I'm not your boss. I don't never want you to feel comfortable enough to say some things to me that you would say after 5. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you let that professionalism down, sometimes
It's hard to get it back.
people feel like they could say some things to you and be like, hold up, I'm still Shalay. You know what I'm saying? I'm saved, but I'm still Shalay. So for me, my issue that I've had is Black women in the workplace. Sometimes it's the stigma of, well, I've been told, well, why is she always smiling? I didn't know I had to have a reason not to smile. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm not smiling, then I don't want the label of I'm unapproachable. Or if I'm not with the rest of the group because I want to go sit and have a minute to myself and eat my lunch and not come to the potluck, I don't want to be deemed as the unsocial Black girl. Because, sometimes there's not very many of us when you get to that leadership role. And if you don't go to the happy hour, are you deemed unapproachable? Or, well, she may not be a good fit for the team because I want to keep my work life separate from my social life. And so I think that's a label. Like, I've been told before in the workplace, oh, she don't do potlucks. Black women don't do potlucks. Well, I just don't like a potluck. I mean, I brought my own food.
And we're not
you
don't like potluck. So here we go.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you got cats at your house, that's your business. But I'm just saying, like, just the whole stigma, stigma of being a Black woman in the workplace. Sometimes I felt it from all angles. Just the things like if I'm not smiling, then I have attitude, or if I speak up about something that I feel passionate about, then I'm aggressive. And I was like, well, that's hardly of who you think I am. That's not even my personality. So it's so hard for, it's just difficult because I don't like getting a label.
How do you move through that? How do you move through that?
I don't know if you ladies have experienced that before, but like sometimes in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm in corporate America, and I've been in corporate America for over 16 years. So when you think about corporate America and the culture of corporate America, a Black female, you are the minority from the jump, and I've been in situations where I am the only female, the only Black in the room, and they don't acknowledge me. And I'm at the top. I'm one of the top people in the room, but they don't acknowledge me. Yeah. And so, and I hear Corey saying, like, how do you work through that? So the way I work through that is I have to pep talk myself. Like, hey, you got this. You deserve to be here. And I have to do that. And I've talked to other Black females that I've mentored within the same company. And I have to pep talk them like, no, you deserve it. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You where you are because you deserve to be there. And you walk in that and you own that. And that's what I have to remind myself. It's a constant reminder because you get to the point where you're like, now I got to prove this. I got to prove this. You got to bring the chair. You got to bring the table. And okay, you got to go stand up on top of it and show them why I need to be here. And we get into that battle type mentality when we shouldn't have to do that. Right. We have to have confidence in ourselves, belief in our abilities. And I feel like we have to fit a certain mold because I'm with you, Shalay. It's like, okay, you got to have this culture. You have to go to the happy hour. You have to do this. And especially when you're in a culture of corporate America where you have to travel. Yeah. So you're with your coworkers and you're with your team and everybody's going to happy hour and everybody's doing this. Okay, well, I have to go. Or what is it going to look like? Because it's not like I have a family and I have to go home to my family because we're traveling, And so how do you do that? And I have to say the right things. And okay, I only can have one glass of wine or one, I got to make sure I'm making them feel comfortable, But what I'll say is, and kind of what Corey was asking, like, is this a movement? Is this here to stay? I've seen actions in corporate America that I've never seen before. And, with the company that I work for, we've always like prided ourselves. Oh, we have this diversity, and they've done a pretty good job, with diversity and making sure people feel, comfortable or they want you to feel comfortable. But I'll be honest, they pushed me outside of my comfort zone because even though it's like, oh, bring your 100% self to work. I'm like, yeah, nah. Y'all not ready for that, But okay, I'll give y'all a little bit. I'll give y'all, but you still keep those race conversations out. You know,
Right.
Yes.
very political. Corporate America's political. You don't talk about race. You don't talk about religion. You don't talk about those things. And you have to make sure you're easing your way through it. But they pushed us to have conversations. And I had to step back like, oh, I got to talk about this at work, you know, and I had to like, okay, well, here it is, you know, and so those uncomfortable conversations are being had, and to be had at a company that is the size of the company I work for is big. And it's things that the company has done that we've never done before around just race and numbers and leadership, the number of people that are in leadership. You know, we've done those
Diversify.
things. So yes, and we've talked about it and we've published it, and I've seen moves being made at the leadership level. And so when you see that happening, and that's around money, you know, so when you put money in it, it's probably here to stay. You know, we're moving in a direction that we haven't been in before. So that's just kind of my perspective, looking at it through that lens.
So in my entrepreneurial life, we are not having those conversations about diversity and how to make the workplace better and including everyone, because it is not coming from a genuine place where I am. So when everything started happening with the pandemic and we went into George Floyd and all of those situations, and a lot of companies were trying to have conversations and trying to do the right thing and just open up. I asked my CEO, I said, do you really want to have conversations in which you're criticized for your policies? Do you want to hear from people? Or do you just want to say Black Lives Matter one time and then run? He said, well, I don't know what I want to do. I said, until you figure out what you want to do, let's not have this conversation, because you need to come from a very genuine spirit. And he didn't like that right away because he likes to be coddled. I said, I am not going to coddle you today. If you cannot address this genuinely and earnestly, let's not address it at all. And that was a little different because that's not what I felt. But I had to look at the people who work for me and who work in environments where they don't make the money that I make. Like, I had to fight to get them healthcare. So you're not going to insult these people, and I'm not going to try to keep them at bay either. So let's not have a conversation unless we can be genuine and open. If you're telling me you're not going to be genuine and open, I have to respect where you're coming from. But now over time, you know, now he's getting more comfortable and there are things that he wants to talk about. And we've made some inroads. And the conversations that we've had have been a little more genuine. We haven't solved anything, but we've created an environment in which we can have those conversations. And I want the people that work for me to feel dignified and valued when they leave the table. Like, I don't want to go outside and have a separate board meeting, you know, because we just got out of the board meeting and I'm trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. Like, my spirit won't let me do that.
Right.
But do you think it's not just in corporate? What about how does this attitude spill into your personal life, relationships, marriages, etc.? Is it the same?
As far as what? As far as what?
As far as the aggressiveness, you know, as far as the attitude, you know, as far as not having a decision, or you making a decision, now you're overpowering, you're too independent.
Because you ain't gonna tell me.
You know. So talk about
I think that it needs to be a balance, right? You know, I do believe that you should let a man be a man. I think that sometimes we as women, I'm going to be very fair, you can talk to a man like he's your child. You know, I've even been checked before. You know, I'm a professor. You know, I've been told before, don't try to lecture me. It's not intentional. But I don't have pride. So I'm the first person to call myself out. If I see something, if you tell me, hey, Tiff, I ain't like how you said that, you know, let me check myself. You know what, Dina? Sorry, I didn't do that right. Let me apologize. Because I don't have a problem doing that. But I think that some women, you beat up, we sometimes we may beat a man down and they're already being beat by the outside world, right? And I think that you got to have a balance. Yes, it's good to be independent, bring something to the table, but I'm a little old fashioned. I do think you should still let a man be a man and don't treat him like that's your child. Now, one thing about it, to be fair, is that if some women make more money, some men have an issue with it, not because of an inferiority complex, but there are some women, and we have to be fair, ladies, that the minute that they get into an argument, well, I make more money than you anyway. It shouldn't matter if you're making more money than that man or that man is making more money than you. If you all are together, it's supposed to be together, a team effort. So I think that, but there are some men that they don't want to be called out on their crap either. Now let's flip it now. Let me come to your boulevard men. So there are some men where they don't like to be challenged, and you want a woman that's a little milly mouth and that's just gonna be like, yeah, daddy. No, the devil is a lie. Because if you disrespect me, my love for you is not a down payment for you to be disrespectful for me. My love for you is not a down payment for you to call me out of my name, unless it's Tiffany, Dr. Tip, or honey, baby, sugar. But you will not call me a bitch or anything like that. You shouldn't call me nothing that you wouldn't want nobody to call your mama or your daughter. There are some men that have an issue with if I am expressing how I feel about something. There you go with the drama. No, how about it's just you just being a little bit weak? Because if we can have a mature conversation with each other, and we don't have to disrespect each other. You don't have to degrade me. I don't have to degrade you, because at the end of the day, we are two mature adults, and it's okay to disagree. Disagreeing is healthy. You shouldn't want to be in a relationship where y'all think the same with every single thing. It's a good balance, right? So I think that we got to have a balance. I think we got to be careful with how we talk to our men, how we treat our men, but I think our men have to reciprocate that as well.
So, Dr. Tiff, I want to piggyback off that, because I think sometimes with us as Black women, we imitate what we see, right? So let's just say I was raised in a home. I didn't see that exchange of what a healthy relationship would look like between a man and a woman. So I'm imitating what I see. So, when I was married, I would think about, what do I want my household to look like? What do I want this relationship to feel like? Because if you don't have that example, right? Because our mothers teach us, our mothers hard on us. Our mamas, our Black mamas say, girl, look, you need to know how to stand on your own 2 feet. I know I was raised that way. My mother raised me to be strong, independent, to be able to figure it out on my own. You know what I'm saying? And so when you carry that, and you have in a relationship with a man that you're endearing to, you love, and you care, sometimes you forget, you don't have that skill to be like, well, how do I make this relate, because the minute they say something wrong to you, instead of you being able to express yourself, be like, listen, this is how I'm feeling, you go back to what you see, or that, you know what I'm saying, what you've seen in the past, or what you've experienced, which comes out, and it's like, I don't know the proper way to express this to you. Yeah, how to express it to you without it being disrespectful. Because all I've ever seen is, who you think you, with that finger to the phone. Who you think you? So when you see that, that's all you know. Which is why for our young girls, when I was in the classroom for our young teenage girls, I would see how they would interact with boys. And so a lot of times when our young girls don't have that father figure in their lives, and they don't see that healthy relationship between their mom and their dad, sometimes they imitate what they see, right? So that's when a lot of times we would have young girls who would hit the boys because she liked him. Or they would be arguing because, or she'd be talking to him crazy or popping him upside the head because that's what you've seen. So you're right, Dr. Tiffany. I do want to bring that to light, because sometimes as Black women, our mamas be on us. Yeah. They want us to be productive women. They don't want us to be out here in the street. They want us to grow up right. They want us to be better than them. And so sometimes we imitate what we see. Yep. And so when we come with that disrespectful, and you ain't gonna tell me, it's because that's what we've seen. We don't know how to, and we don't realize that that's the behavior we're exhibiting until it gets to a point where our men is like, hold up, see why you got all, there you go with that. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is, we have to be ready, open to receive that, because I definitely agree about that balance. Because you also come in and you're independent and you're doing this, so you making moves and you moving and you shaking, and these guys like, oh, hold on, this ain't the role I want in this relationship, So you have to check yourself, and you say, okay, hold on, is this what I want him to be this man, because we want them to be the man. But we
Yeah.
also have to allow them to be the man. So we got to back down off of that.
So
We independent. We
Because
got
there
this.
are
We don't
some
need
men
nobody.
that are comfortable with us taking care of them. And see,
Yes.
I'm not that candidate, baby. You know,
No,
I
me
rescind
neither.
my application, you know, because
Mhm.
I think it has to be a balance. There are some men who want their woman to be like their mama. No, I'm not a sugar mama
You
now.
want me to
Mm-mm,
cook,
mm-mm,
clean?
Right.
You want
mm-mm.
But
me
I
to
also think too,
extracurricular?
right, we can also unconsciously punish men for what another man has done. And
Yes.
we may not recognize that. And that's not fair, because that man is not like your ex. Just like there are some men, and isn't it amazing, the double standard, that women, we will open our heart up, but if one woman hurts a man, they will more than likely punish every woman that comes
Everybody
their
else.
way. And there are some men who will unconsciously punish a woman and be on guard, have this wall up that if any little thing resembles their ex, they will bring that
And be
up.
like, I got trust issues. Boy, go sit
Yeah.
down. You
Well,
trust some people
let me
with
ask you
Chick-fil-A
this.
frying your food. Go sit down.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think with that attitude that kind of skews the expectation of a Black woman? You know, the expectancy is for you to be defensive, opinionated,
I think
you
so.
know, too strong. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how do we dispel
But then
that?
but then they want those characteristics, right? Then you want me to be your ride or die. And I have to be like, sir, we're not dying today. Now look.
But I'm saying, what does that look like to quit having this episode of saying, you know, all these Black women, her attitude is so bad, that's why nobody fool with her, because the expectation is for you to pop out. So how do you dispel that?
We don't value the whole Black woman.
Mm.
We value the parts that we want.
Okay.
And if you value the entire person, you understand that I can be very strong. Sometimes I'm closed off because I'm just in a pensive mood. I have things that I'm thinking about. Maybe I have a deadline that I'm trying to accomplish. My daughter might be sick. I may have trouble at home, and I'm not bringing those things on you. But I am a whole person. I experience every single emotion. But when you don't want to create a space where you allow Black women to experience every single emotion, you stick with those one or two things that you're familiar with. You may not have any idea that I play the flute and I ride a skateboard, because you haven't gotten to that level yet, because you just are not comfortable with that. You don't know. Sometimes the unknown to us is very, very, it's scary, because we don't know what that looks like. We don't take those chances. So I can be quiet. I can be in a pensive mood. I can be aggressive. I can be kind. I'm all of those things. I'm the exact same thing as every other woman on this planet. But it's something about when we do it.
Right.
It's a problem. It's not a problem. Susie is giving you that same attitude that I'm giving you.
Yes, ma'am.
You give it a little eye roll, a little neck roll, and I'm letting you know you got this one, but that's all you're going to get.
And it's something you touched on about how the Black woman moves. You guys have to multitask. It's expected for you to be a great mother. It's expected for you to pick up dinner on your way home, or pick up your child from practice, get them ready. You're already leading a major project if you're in leadership at your job, but no one really takes that into account. You know, I'm glad you touched on that. And to push into what you were saying, I know it's hard in leadership in corporate, leadership in your relationships, or the strain, but also amongst Black women. It's always a competition. If too strong, you can't come together. So let's talk about that. Hopefully, you know. So
I will say this. I have a 16-year-old, and I'm reading a comment. I have a 16-year-old, and from almost day one, I have reared this child by myself. And I can very easily stand on the soapbox and say, look, I have brought her to straight A's. We're looking at MIT. We're looking at Rice. We're looking at Yale. We're looking at Dartmouth. I can say that I've done all of those things by myself. But the truth of the matter is I have a village. My brother, my sister, my parents have all helped me bring this child to where she is. Now, I can very easily say, well, I ain't got nobody doing that for me. And that's all you see. But the fact of the matter is, I've had a great career. I'm educated. I have a good financial situation. So I teach my daughter to just enjoy life. Like, she recently wanted a job. And I said to her, why do you want it? Why? Why? I got to drive you to work and pick you up. I got to do all this. I ain't got time for that. Right? Because I know that I make enough money to give her everything that she wants. And I'm proud of that. And I just want her to enjoy life. I don't care what she studies in school. I want you to do the things that make you happy, because a lot of people have degrees in fields that they've never worked. So pushing that conversation and raising a child, a girl child, to be free to be who she is. Now, I love her to death. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I try to constantly push her and be comfortable with things that she wants to try. She has blonde eyebrows. She dyed her eyebrows blonde. She had a great presentation for why I should let her dye her eyebrows blonde. I had to roll with it. You know why? Because I want a child who is going to grow into an adult who can work in an environment with other people that don't look like her, that may be a little different. Some Black girls are very, very vocal. Some are very shy. I want her to be able to pivot at all times. So I got to let the blonde eyebrows you see my face.
I think that's a compliment to you as a mother. I will celebrate you as a mother, Janelle. I think that's a compliment that your daughter wants to work. And I think it's deeper than you being able to afford it. That's a blessing, right? Because we in a pandemic and there are a lot of people that can't.
Absolutely.
But the reality is, and this is not at you anymore, this is a statement for me in general. For me, I got to have a balance with that, because I don't want my son or my daughter to feel that they can have whatever they want to have just because I can't afford it. Because see, life don't work like that. And see, the world will eat my son or my daughter alive if I feel like I can just give them. And let me just go on record. I know that's not what you were saying. I'm just making a separate point from what you're saying. The world will eat them alive if they feel like, okay, I'm the ATM machine, automatic Tiffany's money. No, it ain't gonna work like that. So for me, I think that it has to be a balance. Yes, give them nice things, but I think that we have to, for me, it has to be a balance of, if they want to work for it, earn it. Because let's be honest, for me personally, I never really appreciated anything unless I truly worked for it. You know, when you think about when you was in grade school, you ever remember those teachers that was so easy, everybody get straight A's?
Right.
But when you leave, you didn't learn nothing. You didn't appreciate it. But then there's this one hard teacher, and it's like you just thanking the Lord, speaking in tongues because you got an A out the class because you worked so hard at it. And but let me go to the part B to his question. For me, to answer your question about Black women, I have to be very honest. Some of the people that have treated me the worst have been Black women.
Yes.
It has been Black women. Some of the people, the stereotype, oh, she thinks she all that. Oh, she thinks she is who she thinks she is. And where their mind is nothing, nowhere of where I am. Nobody is, obviously you think I'm all that, because nobody is saying that. You know, I would give you the shirt off my back. You know, this is just my demeanor. This is just my presentation, because I've had so many people to apologize to me and say, you know what? I used to think you were stuck up, but you are like the sweetest person. You know, and I think as Black women, we gotta stop doing that. Stop tearing each other down. There's a verse in the Bible in Deuteronomy, and it talks about we are blessed in the city and we are blessed in the field. And I apply that to my everyday life, because see, to me, that just means that we just blessed. So there's room at the top for Dina. There's room at the top for Shalay. There's room at the top for Janelle. There's room at the top for Tiffany. And we don't have to tear each other down to get to the top. And
we can all win.
Right. I am very intentional of how I treat people, because people don't believe that the Bible is real. You're going to reap what you sow. If you sow a bad seed, you're going to reap a bad seed. And that and some things that we look at as blessings, that's not blessings, because some people that we see made it, you don't know what they did to get to the top. Okay? You don't know what they did. But I think that as Black women, we have to be secure with ourselves. We have to love each other, you know, celebrate each other, because I see a lot of hating. When Kamala came out, I saw so many vicious attacks at this woman. If
Right.
you don't want to vote for Kamala because of her policy, that's your right. That's one thing. But just assassinating her character, light skin, long hair, married, I mean, come on. Black women, we got to
Yes.
do better with that.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up too about competition, because a lot of times we could be in social groups, you know, and rather than someone coming up to you just saying, "Hey, girl, you look nice today," or "Girl, you cute," you know, it's like, she thinks she cute. And see me, I got a smart mouth. "Girl, I am cute, girl. Hey, girl, hey," you know, because a lot of times it's something about you that makes them feel inferior. So rather than, you know, they're intimidated by you. So I feel like that's why a lot of times women makes those, you know, especially us, we make those snide comments to each other, you know, rather than just offering that complimentary, you know, space. Because you don't know what I had to do to get myself together just to be here today. Like I said earlier, even for me, I know when I'm in a place where I'm the minority and I see another woman of color, another Black woman, I'm always trying to get to her to be like, "Hey, girl, I see you. Hey, girl." Like, I'm excited to see her because there's someone there that I can identify with that can see me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see each other, you know, because a lot of times it's hard to connect with others of a different, you know, background than you. It's very difficult. And sometimes I'm just excited to see someone else. And so when I get the shade, when I come to, you know, and I meet someone new, I'm always puzzled as to why. I'm second guessing me. Like, did I say something wrong? Am I wearing the wrong color? Like, what did I do? I always want to make it a point to try and be warm and welcoming. That's what I mentioned earlier about being mindful of in the professional world, my comments and how I approach people, if I'm always smiling, and, you know, because I never want that stigma to be on me. I never want to feel that. I never want another Black woman to feel like they should be threatened by me, because that's not I never want that type of presence. I always want to be warm and welcoming to my sisters. And for me, like I said, when I see another Black woman, I am excited because I feel like, "Hey, girl, I see you. You know, we can identify and relate to each other. I'm here for you. You know, if you need me." And sometimes it's just so hard because we can be so cold. Like, "I don't know why she coming up here talking to me. I don't even know her like that."
Yeah.
Girl, you know her? I ain't never seen her before. "Oh, she thinks she," like Dr. Tiffany said, "Oh, she thinks she this," and it's not even that. Sometimes we're just seeking to really connect with one another.
I agree.
But do you think it's a double down because of we as a Black community, you know, it stems from slavery and how we crabs in a bucket, but then to be a Black woman or Black successful woman, it doubles down on that misnomer? Do you think that has something to do with it? And not so much as a...
Yeah, it could be. I think it could be part of it. But I think at some point we have to be the change. Like, that's just really what it's about. Like, we know the reality, we know what it is, but we have to be the change. So we have to give off that energy. We have to be the ones, because I know for me, I'll be the first one to compliment anybody. You know, walking in the room, anywhere, on the elevator, it doesn't matter. So it's that energy that I'm gonna give off. And you know, and I know we sometimes it's like, okay, you know, whenever it comes down to it, we may come across a certain way. So how do we change that? How do we make sure that, like you were saying, Shalay, like, we're smiling, we're greeting people, we're, you know, you give that compliment before they can say, "Oh, girl, you know, hey, girl, you looking good. I like your shoes," or like whatever it is. Like, I think that's where the change has to come. We have to shift that energy. We have to shift that energy in the room, because if you giving off that positive energy, then that negative energy not gonna want to come your way, because they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you know, whatever." And then all they got to do is to say is something positive about you. That's all they have. So I think that it just has to start to where we're being, and everyone is being, just more cognizant of the energy and the vibe that you're giving off. You know, and so I think that's just my thoughts on kind of how we can solve it versus, you know, kind of looking at what the root of the cause may be.
Like Janelle said, we're each other's village, right? Like, I don't know where I would be without my tribe, my village, those that surround me in my best times, my worst times. And so I agree with you, Dina, that sometimes we have to bring that type of energy forward. Like, "Girl, I'm on your village, girl. Can you help me take these works out? Like, I'm in your village." Yeah.
That's my point
Yeah,
about
I
And I
do
think
think
too, like when you're a successful woman too, you also have to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
So you have to let people see those weaknesses, you
Yeah.
know, because sometimes, you know, and it's not like you're trying to put on, have everything together, but you just together and you're going to make sure stuff is a certain way
Right.
in your personal life, in your profession, whatever it is. But we all have those vulnerabilities. We all have those weaknesses. So we have to be transparent sometimes within our villages and in our safe spaces to where they feel like, oh, okay, well, she's not perfect, you know? So I think it's just, because people might have that feeling about you, you know, well, oh, she's
but,
perfect, she got it all together,
but
you know.
but with every successful person, you need to understand that for every successful person, somebody helped you. And if
Right.
there is someone that thinks highly of you that says, hey, will you mentor me? I look up to you. Don't tell them I'm going to call you or email you or get back with you and you never do. Because
Right.
sometimes when we get blessed, we can act like we are so above here and then sort of look down on people and you forgot that somebody gave you a chance. You know,
That's
I
it.
work
Right.
in higher education, and the game of higher education is this: who you supervise today can supervise you on tomorrow. You can
Mhm.
supervise them on tomorrow. And I remember there was a woman when I started in higher education. It was a Black woman. She gave me so much hell. It was almost like I was made to feel bad because I had a PhD and I was the youngest PhD at this university. And at that time, I was the only Black female PhD.
Mhm.
And it was the
Mhm.
constant jabs of, you know, oh, because I have a dual PhD. And they would say, oh, you think you all that because you young, you got, and it's like, it's nothing like that. And I think that we have to do a better job. If somebody looks up to us, young girls look up to us, return that phone call, return that text. Because remember,
Right.
you were in their position too. Somebody helped you. And I don't care
Right.
how much we arrive, everybody is going to need somebody. None of us are above God. I
Right.
don't care what your
Yes.
pay grade is, what your last name is, what neighborhood you live in. All of us are going to need somebody. And one thing about it, and y'all will see that my life is based on Jesus. That's why it's called Jesus and Justice. Is that what God gives, He can take away.
He sure
Mhm.
can.
Mhm.
What He gives, He can take away.
Yes. Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so, bring it to a close. You know, we talked about some of the stigmas you deal with as a Black woman. We talk about the many layers of a Black woman, and you know why people do not appreciate and why it's always just expected. This is what you should do instead of realizing that you guys go through a lot and have been through a lot, and the road is
Yeah.
still rough. But we expect the Black woman to always pull through. You know, and
Mhm.
somebody
Mhm.
brought up Stacey Adams in the beginning. You know what's happening in Georgia with the election. It started with Stacey Abrams. Is Stacey Abrams did not go through what she went through in a time when they had to actually recount the votes, and she wasn't successful in it win. What she went through provided the leeway to what they're going through now. Because if she didn't, but no one wants to talk about that. They're going back to John Lewis, the death of John Lewis, and it's the ghost and the blessing of John Lewis. But sometimes a Black woman can be overlooked, and there are the catalysts for the change. And
Yeah.
so for a young Black woman, up and coming, uh, what can you give them in terms of self-love and self-care for them to be proud of who they are? Because we talk about the imagery of a African American woman. You guys, many hues, many shapes, many sizes, just a beautiful being. But we still strive for perfection, the colorism, etc. And you feel like they're less than, so they feel like all they can do is be an Instagram model or be this trophy for the college athlete in college, etc. What can you guys give them as successful women, as strong women, successful in relationships, just beautiful, different hues? What can y'all give them to make them understand that they are beautiful?
Give them the gift of acceptance. I say that
Mm.
because being a multifaceted, a fully emotional person, allow them to have all of those emotions. When they are at their lowest point, let them go to that point. Let's talk about why you're there and how we can build you up to get you back to a place where you feel good about yourself. I mentioned my daughter earlier and about her getting the job. She's working. She's saving her money, but she's also shopping, right? She has the luxury of having a parent who can afford to do all of these things for her. I want my kid and I want young girls to be accepted for who they are. If you like anime, if you like comic books, if you like to dance, be in a space and be around people that allow you to be who you are. That's the most important thing. Anytime you criticize, you wipe out the opportunity to have a conversation. Give the gift of acceptance. If you can't give anything else, and even if you don't truly mean it, but just be genuine in your interactions and your communication so that person can continue to grow. The gift of acceptance, and seeing that I have a 16-year-old and I've gone through every stage of parenting, that has been the best thing that my mother has ever taught me. I've also taught my daughter to just love who she is. You don't have to have struggle love. My friend and I talk about this all the time, especially with Black women. There is someone on this planet who keeps telling everybody that Black women should be accepting of anything and that we have to go through these struggle relationships. No, boy should meet girl, boy and girl fall in love, have children, life's on them. And if they, separate, then so be it. But we should have the same opportunities as everyone else. To think that the only thing we should have is struggle love and scraps is a problem for me. I don't work for scraps. I don't work to give a child a home for scraps. She's not going to accept scraps. But at the same time, she needs to be clear about what she needs for her and who she is. The gift of acceptance is the best thing we can give our children.
I agree. I want to piggyback off that too, and I want to say the gift of affirmation too.
Absolutely.
I think we don't do that. I had to learn how to affirm myself with things that I wanted to do as a Black woman, because the world will tell you all the things that you're not. Right. And so just having those affirmance, I am beautiful. My hair is beautiful. I'm great. I have a great personality. People love me. I love others. Just knowing who you are, acceptance. And I believe just affirming those affirmations of saying, God says I'm this when the world says that I'm not. And so just knowing that, what you embody and who you are, that it's okay to be different. And it's okay to affirm the things that you are to yourself. It's totally okay.
Yep. And I think that's where it starts. We have to help them build themselves up to know how important it is to love themselves, to respect themselves, to demand that respect from others, to believe in themselves, have that confidence, because no matter how many times somebody else might tell them, don't look for that approval from other people, because that's where it comes from. Instagram and all that. They trying, don't look for approval from others. Don't look for the likes. Believe in yourself, know in your heart, know and be comfortable with who you are, because you are good enough. God made you the way you are for a reason. So walk in that, be proud of that, embrace that. And I think helping and continuing to help others, and like Dr. Tiffany was saying, reach back, help others and lift others up and help to instill in them that self-confidence, that love, that motivation, that respect that all of us need.
My heart bleeds for this generation, because when I was growing up, we didn't have Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And I think it's a lot of pressure, unfortunately, on our young girls when we see the Instagram models and people having a lot of likes and a lot of followers. And people have to understand there are some people who are living a lie through Facebook and Instagram. That's not who they are in real life. And then when we see these celebrities, sometimes these young girls think that this is how these celebrities wake up. That's not. And I tell my students all the time, listen, it's okay that you want to take care of yourself and look good. You got to look good. When you first meet somebody, you don't meet their personality and how saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost they are. If I meet a man, first thing I'm going to see is he a good looking man? Be able to look at you. Okay. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But the thing about it is that as long as we're blessed, we're going to get older and we're not going to look the same. And
Right.
here's the thing, young ladies, sex is not going to hold a man. Your Coke bottle shape and your flat stomach, your
baby.
washboard stomach is not going to hold them. Having kids for them is not going to hold them. Being with them for all of these exponential years is not going to hold them. It's about it, and a lot of the times you can look so good on the outside, but can be so ugly on the inside, and that can make you ugly. And, and I think that a lot of people need to understand that your personality, how you treat people, how you carry yourself, if you can have ugly ways. And I think another thing is we got to stop allowing society to put a timeline on our life. Who says that you got to be married by such and such age? Who says that you have to close on your house at such and such age? Who says that you got to have your first kid by this age? We got to stop allowing society to put this timeline on our life, and you got to live your life for you. You can't live it for what your mom and daddy want you to do, because sometimes we love our parents, but sometimes our parents can be controlling. Sometimes parents can live their lives through their children. So I think you got to live your life for you and stop looking what you see on Facebook.
Yes.
You set the standard of what it's supposed to be. Because
Yeah.
everybody, oh, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed. You set that standard. You say what it's supposed to be, and not measure up against other people or expectations.
Well, ladies, I think that you guys are getting a lot of comments. People are they're really rocking what you guys are saying. But speaking volumes, it's not even just what each one of you just said can be really relatable when it comes to a male and a female, because you'll be surprised how many young Black males deal with the pressures of the world and the expectations as well. And I think when it comes to the Black male courting the female, that becomes problematic because they take those stressors out in those relationships with the Black female. And so you guys, I know, we only have 5 minutes left, and I want to give you all, just to give you your final words, anything you want to say that you didn't get to speak on, you can say at this time. I just want to say it's amazing. I'm sorry.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, it's refreshing to get with a group of women, and we're all on the same page with how we feel about just being a Black woman and having magic. Like, it's not a movement that's going to die tomorrow. Like, we here. Okay, you can tell when a Black woman put her touch or a spin on some stuff, it's going to always have a little sparkle and glitter to it. So, I'm proud, like we talked about Kamala, I'm proud. I'm so super proud. She represents, all of us, women of color, just from how far we've come. And so this is a great moment in history, just like it was when President Barack Obama, number 44, was in the White House, so this is epic. And I'm just glad to be on this podcast with y'all. We're gonna have to have a part 2, Corey.
I'll have a happy hour.
Have a happy hour, Black Girl Magic.
We can do that. We can do that. I can facilitate that. But Janelle has a podcast and Dr. Tiffany has a podcast. Can you guys tell them how they can find you guys or locate you guys?
I'm on every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff with the Fishbowl Radio Network. You can go to my Facebook page under Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, or you can go to Fishbowl Radio Network and you can listen to it. We talk about real life issues aligning with the word. We talk about controversial issues. We talk about issues like this. And so last week we had Dr. Jamal Bryan on there, and please go to my page, and he had a lot to say about Ice Cube and everybody else. So please. And so I'm very excited about what God is doing with the show. So check us out every Saturday, 4 p.m.
Awesome.
So my podcast is called Weekend Coffee Girl. It is on Anchor. It is also on all of the major platforms. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram of the same name. Now, girl is spelled G-U-H because when we are in that comfortable mode and we're having great conversations, the words change and it's girl. So it's Weekend Coffee Girl. My podcast is for thought-provoking chat over boozy coffee and stiff pours. I'm sure you guys saw me drinking a little bourbon. I like to talk about things that we miss talking about with our friends because in this pandemic space, the quarantine, as my daughter calls it. And just having those conversations where we're just having a good drink, we're talking about life, family, children, sex, love. I just finished a series called Are You All Right Without Homecoming? And I talked to 5 HBCU graduates. I'm a PWI graduate, so I can't speak to it. But I talked to 5 HBCU graduates about how they feel that there is no homecoming this year. And I purposely got people of different age groups to tell different stories. So check out the series. It's called Are You All Right Without Homecoming? When we finish here, I am going to record my next episode. I have a 50-year-old Black man who's going to talk about his love life from every decade, from his 20s to present day. And I asked him a series of questions, and I said, I want the physical and the emotional. And he has been working on it all week. He says, no one ever asked me how I feel. You guys just think I'm just, king dingling, and I'm just supposed to feed everybody and do this. And I too have emotions. So it should be a good series. So check me out on Anchor FM, Weekend Coffee Girl.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. I appreciate it. Just want to let you know that we, as the Black men of this world, we appreciate you, because you do go through a lot. And that, coming from a family with a strong mother as mine, you guys just endure. You, when you're in pain, no one ever knows. You work through it. And it's no one ever says anything. It's just expected of you guys to perform at all times. And I just want to let you know you guys rock at all times. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for listening.
Bye.
Bye.